Welcome to the Kids Bedtime Stories channel. If you enjoy the stories on this channel, don't forget to subscribe. You are listening to a tale from the series Millie and the Ribbon Bridge. This is episode 1, Whispering Leaflands. Wrap yourself in a soft blanket, close your eyes, and let the story guide you into an extraordinary realm. Let us begin. Millie stood before something she could not quite name. Only a moment ago, she had been in the familiar meadow behind her grandmother's house, where the air carried the scent of sun-warmed grass and honey drifting from nearby beehives. And now, rising before her, was a gate made of branches woven so intricately it looked as though someone had patiently braided them into a great wooden plait. The gate was not frightening, it was inviting. The leaves covering it were the color of fresh spring green, and between them shimmered tiny golden flecks of light. The whole structure seemed almost alive, as though it were breathing very calmly, very steadily. Millie stepped closer. The air changed. It no longer smelled of meadow grass. Now it carried the coolness of mint, the sweetness of young apple, and something deeper, like earth after a gentle rain. There was something in that scent that felt both pure and warmly comforting at the same time. And then there was the sound. It was the strangest sound she had ever heard. It was not the ordinary rush of wind. The leaves were not simply swaying, they were rustling separately, as if each one had something of its own to say. Shh, shh, sss, sss. It was not one great noise. It was 1,000 tiny whispers. Millie tilted her head slightly as if trying to understand. "Are you speaking to me?" she asked softly. The leaves answered even more gently. She could not make out any words, but she felt it clearly. This was no ordinary forest. She stepped beneath the gate. At once, the light softened into a green golden glow, as if sunlight had been filtered through warm tea. Above her stretched a canopy of leaves, thick in some places, delicate and lace-like in others. Beneath her feet there was no bare earth. There was a layer of leaves, but they were not dry and brittle. They were springy and fresh, as if they had only just fallen, and yet they showed no sign of withering. When Millie stepped, they did not crackle. They sounded like the gentle turning of pages in a book. Millie looked around, and then she noticed something strange. There was no single path. There were many, or perhaps none at all. The leaves formed faint lines, as if someone had tried to mark a way forward. But every few steps, the line would fade, dissolve and blend back into the ordinary forest floor. Millie murmured. Which way? For a moment, she tried following the brightest stretch of ground. It seemed clearer somehow, a little more orderly. She walked along it. The trees around her were tall and smooth, their trunks touched with a faint silver sheen, as though brushed with milky light. The air was warm, and sunlight slipped between the leaves like golden fish darting through branches. Millie began to feel she had chosen well. And then the path ended. It did not turn. It did not split. It simply ceased to exist. Millie blinked. She looked down. The leaves beneath her feet looked exactly like all the others. She turned around. Behind her, there was no bright trail anymore either. Well, she said calmly, that was strange. At that very moment, a small leaf drifted down and landed right on her nose. Millie crossed her eyes to look at it. It was shaped like a heart. A quiet laugh escaped her. That can't be a coincidence. She gently lifted the leaf and examined it more closely. It was soft and warm, as though it had only just parted from its tree. Suddenly, all the whispers around her softened. They did not disappear. They simply became focused, as if they were waiting. Millie took a slow breath. This time, she did not move right away. Instead, she closed her eyes, and she listened. Not for the strongest rustle, not for the loudest, not for the prettiest sound. She listened patiently. For a few long moments, nothing changed. Then one whisper became clearer. Not louder, closer, as if someone were speaking very gently beside her shoulder. Millie opened her eyes. Right in front of her, the leaves began to move. Not chaotically. They were arranging themselves, slowly, forming a thin green line that wound between the trees. This time, it did not look accidental. It looked like an invitation. Millie smiled. All right, let's try again. And she followed the new path, which rippled softly before her, almost as if it were alive. She did not yet know where it would lead, but this time she did not hurry, because she had understood something very important. In this land, it is not enough to look. You must listen. And when you truly listen, the leaves show you the way. The green line of leaves led Millie deeper and deeper between the trees. The light grew softer, the whispers clearer. The farther she walked, the more she felt that the leaves were not merely rustling, but waiting. The path curved gently to the right, then to the left, and at last opened into a small clearing. At the center of the clearing, a spiral of leaves hovered in the air. It was not an ordinary gust of wind. The leaves did not spin chaotically. They moved in one slow, steady rhythm, as though an unseen presence were conducting them with the lightest touch. Millie stopped. The spiral narrowed. The leaves began to fall, one by one, slowly, very slowly, and when the final leaf drifted to the ground, Millie held her breath. It was not a shrub. It was not a shadow. It was a figure. She stood where the leaves had been swirling only moments before, wrapped in their soft mantle. Her hair was the color of young spring green, and at its tips shimmered tiny flecks of gold. Her eyes were bright, like sunlight slipping between branches. She did not move abruptly. She made no theatrical gesture. She simply was, as though she had always stood there, and only now had Millie learned how to see her. "Oh," Millie whispered, stepping back half a pace. You truly exist." The figure tilted her head. The leaves around her stirred so gently that it sounded like soft laughter. "I do," she replied quietly. "And you heard me." Her voice was like the whisper of many leaves at once, not loud, not faint, exactly as strong as it needed to be. Warmth rose to Millie's cheeks. Was it you who arranged the path?" "No," the figure answered gently. "You were the one who began to listen." Millie blinked. For a moment, they looked at one another in silence. It was not an awkward silence. It was full, as if something important were unfolding between them without words. "I'm Millie," the girl said at last. The figure inclined her head. "And I am the Leafwhisper Fairy, guardian of Whispering Leaflands." As she spoke the name of the realm, the leaves around them shimmered faintly, as though light flowed along their edges. Millie glanced around, suddenly more aware than ever of where she stood. All of this, it's truly alive, isn't it? "Yes," the Leafwhisper Fairy replied. "But not everything that lives is always heard." As if to confirm her words, an uneasy, jagged rustling rose from the far side of the clearing. It was not harmonious. It sounded like two voices speaking at once, neither willing to give way. Millie turned. Among the trees stood two young trunks, their small branches trembling faster than the others. The leaves of one leaned toward the sunlight. The leaves of the other angled stubbornly away. The rustling was sharp, uneven, unpleasant. "What's happening?" Millie asked. "They are trying to speak," the Leafwhisper Fairy answered. "But they are not trying to listen." Millie took a few careful steps toward them. She felt that slight tension in her stomach, the kind that appears when two beings cannot seem to understand each other. May I try to help them? The Leafwhisper Fairy looked at her closely, not with judgment, with hope. You may try to hear. It did not sound like a command. It was an invitation. Millie stepped closer to the young trees. At first, she wanted to say, "Hey, calm down," but something stopped her. Instead, she drew in a slow breath. "Am I right in thinking," she began carefully, "that one of you is afraid it isn't getting enough light, and the other feels it has been pushed aside?" The rustling softened. It did not disappear, but its rhythm changed. It was no longer so sharp. The leaves of one tree trembled more slowly. The other answered with a gentler movement. Millie did not interrupt. She did not add anything of her own. She simply stood there and listened. Then she felt something in her hand. She looked down. The Leafwhisper Fairy stood beside her so quietly that Millie had not even noticed her approach. The fairy extended her palm. Resting upon it was a slender, pale thread. It was no ordinary string. Its fibers looked woven from light and something impossibly fine. It did not shine brightly. Instead, it pulsed softly as if breathing. "This is the story string," said the Leafwhisper Fairy. Millie took it carefully. It was warm and strangely light. What does it do? It remembers moments of true understanding. Millie looked again at the young trees. She kept listening. She did not guess. She did not hurry. And then something greater stirred. From deep within the forest came a heavier, lower rustling. Not nervous, weary. Leaves across the entire clearing shifted uneasily. The path Millie had followed began to blur. It was fading, slowly. "What's happening?" she asked quietly. The Leafwhisper Fairy turned her gaze toward the oldest tree, standing at the edge of the clearing. "The heart of this land has stopped answering," she said gently, "and when it falls silent, the paths lose their way." Millie tightened her fingers around the story string. She felt its warmth, and she knew this was only the beginning. The rustling deep within the forest was unlike any other. It was not quarrelsome. It was not quick. It sounded like something trying to speak, but no longer having the strength. Millie looked toward the tallest tree standing at the edge of the clearing. Its trunk was wide, almost silver in color, and its crown spread so broadly that it covered a great portion of the sky. The leaves of that tree moved slowly, too slowly. "Is it that one?" Millie asked. The Leafwhisper Fairy nodded. "The heart of Whispering Leaflands." When it is no longer heard, the whole realm loses its rhythm. At that very moment, the path Millie had taken nearly dissolved completely. The green line vanished beneath the layer of leaves. A small flicker of uncertainty stirred inside her. And what if I can't hear it? The Leafwhisper Fairy did not answer at once. She stepped closer and placed a gentle hand on Millie's shoulder. Listening does not begin with the ears, she said softly. It begins with stillness. Millie looked at the great tree. She took a few steps toward it. At first, she wanted to ask, "What happened? Why are you silent? How can I help you?" But she remembered how the path had disappeared when she hurried. So instead, she sat down at the foot of the tree. The story string rested in her hand, warm and calm. She closed her eyes. She did not try to invent anything. She did not guess. She did not fill the silence with her own story. She simply was. Around her, the leaves rustled softly, then more quietly, until at last there was only one very faint, almost invisible whisper. It was not loud. It was not dramatic. It sounded like, "I cannot keep up." Millie opened her eyes slowly. "You cannot keep up?" she repeated gently. The highest leaves stirred just slightly. Everyone speaks at once. The rustle breathed. Everyone wants to be heard, and no one listens. Something tightened inside Millie's chest. She looked around. It was true. Many smaller branches around the great trunk were rustling all at once, each trying to push forward in its own rhythm. Millie took a deep breath. She stood up. "Let's try this differently," she said calmly, though her heart was beating faster. She stepped toward the nearest branch. "Let us listen to you first." The branch rustled. Others tried to interrupt. "Please wait," Millie said gently. "First, her." She did not raise her voice. She did not stamp her foot. She simply stood and waited. The first branch shared its whisper, then the second, then the third. It did not happen quickly. It took time. Sometimes Millie would say, "Do I understand you correctly? Are you trying to say that?" And when two voices began speaking at once, she would calmly add, "In a moment, we are listening now." Slowly, the rhythm began to change. The rustling no longer collided. It began to weave itself into a shared tone. The great tree, which had sounded so weary before, began to rustle more fully, stronger, until the entire forest breathed in a single rhythm. At that very moment, the story string in Millie's hand stirred. At first, it gave a small tremor. Then, its fibers began to shift. Millie was not moving it. they were moving on their own. Thin threads of light intertwined slowly, as if they knew exactly what they were doing. A warm spark flowed between them, not blinding, but soft like candlelight. The string made a quiet, clear sound, not a snap, not a chime. It sounded like a delicate click that says, "Now." Millie watched with wide eyes. Where there had once been a simple strand of thread, a weave had formed. It was not an ordinary knot. It looked like a tiny leaf crafted from two interlacing lines of light. It breathed. She could feel it. Warmth traveled from her palm all the way to her shoulder. The Leafwhisper Fairy smiled. The listening knot. She said softly. Millie touched the woven shape with her fingertip. "It's alive." "Yes," the fairy replied, "because it was born from true listening." Around them, the paths began to form again. Not just one, many, but this time they did not vanish. They were clear, bright, steady. Millie looked down at the story string. She was afraid of losing it. It felt too important, too extraordinary. Carefully, she wrapped it around her wrist. Once, twice, 3 times. When the ends met, the woven leaf glowed faintly, as if agreeing to this place. The threads adjusted themselves, forming a soft bracelet. It did not tighten. It did not bother her. It rested on her arm as though it had always belonged there. Millie smiled widely. "Now I won't lose you." The Leafwhisper Fairy looked at her with quiet pride. "This is only the first knot, Millie." At that same moment, a cooler breeze swept through the leaves. Different from before, fresher, quicker. Millie turned her head. On the horizon, beyond the line of trees, she saw something that looked like a pale, drifting mist, or perhaps clouds. The Leafwhisper Fairy stepped closer. "When listening returns," she said gently, "the path opens further." Millie glanced at her bracelet. The leaf-shaped knot pulsed peacefully. She felt courage rising within her. Not loud, not fierce, steady. "I think I know where I should go next," she said. The leaves rustled in reply, not chaotically, with gratitude. Millie took her first step toward the cooler wind, and Whispering Leaflands breathed calmly once more. This was the first part of the series Millie and the Ribbon Bridge. In the next episode, Millie will reach a new realm, a place where clouds never stand still and the wind has a personality of its own. Will she learn another knot? We will discover that in the next chapter. Thank you for listening to Kids Bedtime Stories. If you enjoy the stories on this channel, don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, good night.